understands exhibitions. And he's actually called out some exhibitionists in his day, slurking around in nude beaches in New Jersey. Probably in his own backyard, people get loose out in the grass.
What's that one in Jersey called, a nude beach?
Let's go to a man who probably knows because he is from the Garden State, the great John McMullen, our NFL and Eagles insider. How are you, John?
I'm doing well. I am not aware of any nude beaches in New Jersey because I assume everything is regulated and they're not allowed to do anything.
Gunnison Beach.
Gunnison
Beach.
Gunnison or Gunnerson?
Gunnison.
Yeah, that's news to me, guys. You're way ahead of the curve there.
Well, I flattened my curve a long time ago, luckily, because I had that Peroni's thing. But luckily, while I was socializing myself and distancing and sheltering in place and practicing the curve, which was supposed to last a couple of months, mine is finally done.
We've all flattened the curve, but, then the goalposts move. Then we got to flatten more curves.
Hey, just swinging and dinging, as Harry Mays used to say on his podcast. Now, of course, your podcast with the great Ryan Rothstein.
Extending the play.
Exactly right. Now, which one of you guys extends the play? Because we know, like, Carson Wentz, Michael Vick, mobile guys can extend the play. Patrick Mahomes extends the play. Which one of you two on the podcast extends the play, John?
We both extend the play. I'm trying to get Extend as a sponsor.
Yeah, do you need a blue pill to extend the play is my question.
We're efforting them.
Yeah, we're efforting.
Maybe get Frank Thomas on and say, hey, guys, she'll like it too.
Free plug, though. That was free.
Exactly.
So jump on now.
It's all about free plugs. It's all about product on this show. All right, John, the NFLPA, after being hammered by the players all weekend, not only does the NFL said, okay, we're going to do testing every day. Now, you don't want to play preseason games? Okay, guys, go right ahead. You want to talk about an apology tour? The NFL is taking a knee every 10 seconds to the Players Association now suddenly.
No. Well, yes and no. I mean, they did. It's not really daily testing. It's daily testing for 2 weeks, and then if it's under a certain threshold, which is basically 5% of the players getting tested, from there it slows down to once every couple of days. And I think that's the hope. They're getting the information from the NBA, Major League Baseball, the way even Major League Soccer, where testing has been generally far under that number. So I think that's the hope, at least when you get past that 2-week period. I think the concern is guys coming in all over the country, there's going to be some positive tests, and that might be a concern early on. But I think the hope is when they get through that 2-week period, that the daily testing at least will be going away. That's certainly the league's hope.
Well, John, instead of playing any preseason games, will they at least have some scrimmages between opposing teams so they're just not beating up on one another for the month of August?
No scrimmages, Harry.
Really?
Because that got a social distance from other teams, not from your own team.
Oh, my God.
Now, they scratched out joint practices a long time ago. That's been off the table for a while. This is, it's a difficult situation. I'm not trying to say there are easy answers, but there's so many contradictions here in these types of policies. And, hey, it is what it is. It's a contact sport. You're talking about social distancing right up until you're not. So it doesn't make a ton of sense other than, as I said, from a PR standpoint. I mean, you want to signal to people and fans and pundits that you're doing everything possible, but it is what it is. And,
Wait, John, that's your second it is what it is in this first segment here.
Well, because it's kind of ridiculous. And I think everybody knows that behind the scenes, but they can't say it publicly. And we all know why.
Yep. Now, for example, the coaches have to hate not having a preseason. How are they going to determine who gets cut? Are they going to do cut down days like they did before, based on guys running around in shorts?
Well, this is where it obviously hurts younger players, particularly undrafted players, but even guys at the bottom of the roster, projected to be at the bottom of the roster. They had opportunities to flash in preseason games. And even that had scaled back dramatically from years and years ago. So they were already behind the eight ball. Now it's virtually impossible. So basically what you're going to do as a personnel department is rely on your evaluation that got these players in here. Nobody's going to have an opportunity to surpass somebody that they think is better. The only positive part, if you talk about doors being slammed shut on undrafted guys, is expanded practice squads. It's already going from 10 to 12 under the new CBA, and now it's going to be even more than that. So whatever number they ultimately decide on, and they haven't made that clear yet, but it's probably going to be 16 from what I hear. So that's 4 more jobs. And if you get in the building after all this COVID testing, if you actually get in there, that's your opportunity to open up some eyes. So it might be a little bit different than what we're used to, but there are going to be a few more slots for those younger players.
John McMullen, and you can follow him on Twitter, Harry.
At JF McMullen.
Exactly right. Now, John, as you know, here in Philadelphia, where the Eagles practice on Broad Street, where the old Naval Hospital used to be, people can sort of look through the fence. There's a chain link fence on the street, and if you squint and you find that you're on the right angle, you can see the guys. Will that spread the coronavirus now through the fence and perhaps, aerosolize, or no, what is it called? When it becomes the droplets get into the atmosphere and then get onto the players? Will they have like hazmat suits along the? Will they put like
maybe a tarp over the thing?
A tarp over the entire thing.
Well, I think if you're outside the fence, you're naturally socially distanced. So I don't think it could be a concern. But who knows? Maybe the CDC will come up and change that. Who knows? There are no fans though at training camp all over the country. This is not going to be fun. I will say that. But
wait a minute, are you going against the Washington Post saying we should not play sports now, especially in the National Football League, John McMullen?
Should we play sports? I don't think we should play sports under these draconian restrictions, but nobody's given up that television revenue. That's what it comes down to, and that's why I said months and months ago, players can say whatever they want. As you mentioned, that tweet storm over the weekend, that got so much publicity. There was never any doubt that they were going to come in for camp. There was never any doubt they were going to play, similar to baseball. You can talk about the owner's greed all you want. The players aren't giving up that money either, and that's where we are.
Well, now, John, your esteemed governor over there in the state of New Jersey, Mr. Murphy, has said that the Giants and Jets can play, but not with fans. Now, if that stays throughout till the start of the season, and yet there are other states maybe that go in there and say, yeah, this team is allowed to have 10% capacity or whatever in their stadium, that's kind of a sort of a home field advantage kind of situation and a disadvantage for some teams. How do you think that's going to get worked out?
Well, the league has already chimed in on that, and they said they will not consider that a competitive disadvantage. So if there is one locality that does not allow fans and there is another that does, you're SOL. If you want to consider that, I don't know how much impact 10 or 15,000 people is going to have. It would certainly be a little bit more difficult. But the NFL is not going to demand that all 32 teams need to have fans or don't have to have fans. That's going to be a local decision. As we all know, with Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, they're going to stick together. So in this case, Murphy and Wolf were behind the eight ball because Cuomo doesn't have a football team, so he couldn't make the decision for them.
Yeah, he's got the Buffalo Bills up there.
Oh, that's right.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, you forgot about Buffalo, man.
They're one of the best teams in the league,
John.
I was thinking more of the hot spot of obviously the Giants and Jets, so that's under Murphy's domain, and that's what he had to bring up. And as we talked about, the city of Philadelphia overstepped was that last week when they said there's going to be no fans, and they had to backtrack on that. These states are a joke. Let's be kind.
Exactly right, John McMullen. Now I saw John Clark tweet this morning that the rookies report to training camp today. They get Rona testing, and they have to pass 2 tests, then quarantine to get access to the building, and that could be 5 days. I don't understand one iota about that. Can you explain it for me?
This is what they agreed to. So basically, day one, the rookies reported today, and this will be the same thing when the veterans report. The same system. You get tested on day one, no test on day 2, no test on day 3, tested on day 4. If you pass both, you'll be allowed to enter the facility. That is the pre-testing protocol that every player will have to go through, and that'll be staggered. Rookies come in for most teams today, quarterbacks and rehabbing players generally come in a little bit early, and then veteran players on July 28th for most teams. And that's what they'll have to go through. So, the bigger part of that is training camp as a whole. So when people say training camp opens on July 28th under the CBA, no, that's when people will report for testing under that protocol. So then you're talking about August 1st, and then you're going to have this big ramp-up period. They still haven't decided what that will be. The NFL just came out with their newest plan that the players have to approve, and that basically pushes back any kind of real practice till mid-August and pads till about August 20th. That's where we are. We're not going to have real football practice until deep into August.
Well, at least it can't be any hotter than it's been so far in June and July. Usually we wait. August is when it's the hottest. But right now, this is as hot as it gets, unless, it gets to 110 every day and we become Arizona. But at least it'll be a dry heat then, right. John.
We got 110 heat index the last couple days here in South Jersey.
I don't know. I've been hunkered down in the basement. I've been told to shelter in place. I've been told to lock it down, strap it up, flip it, and rub it down, and all those other things.
Well, right now, just to give you a Doppler weather update.
Let's go to our weather correspondent and unlicensed meteorologist, Miss Robin, looking at her Doppler.
Yes.
And her Doppler's looking a little strong today, Harry. Her barometer's rising, baby.
It says that currently in Philadelphia, it is 98 degrees, but it feels like 102.
Wow, that's a beautiful day for football, Harry.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful day to report for COVID testing.
Exactly right.
Well, John, usually the month of September looks, spotty as on the field as far as the quality of play because of the limited practice time, pads and all that kind of thing. Now with no preseason, the entire month of September is probably going to be essentially preseason quality football, don't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you mentioned, Harry, that's how it has been really the first 2 weeks. It's kind of been glorified preseason because of and good years. Ever since the 2011 CBA, they scaled back on practices so much. And really about 5 years ago, coaches kind of made the decision that it was more important to get to week one healthy than anything else because you can't prepare like you want to prepare anyway. And then you just amp that up by about 100 because they're going to have 2 weeks of practice before week one. And that's if things go perfectly. That's what we're talking about. So, yeah, there's going to be some ugly, sloppy football. But the TV networks are still going to write those checks. So that's all anyone's concerned about.
And the gambling degenerates like Harry and the fantasy people.
Ugly, sloppy football is better than no football.
You're damn right.
Okay.
Except unless you're like Conlon Farrell and you're betting on spring baseball games that don't matter, that end up in a tie, and they make – at least the NFL, I would think, are not going to make up new rules as they go along during a game.
End up in a tie with a 680-foot home run. What the heck is StatCast talking about?
Let's just bring our kicker out. I want him to get another try at 60 yards, and he kicks it and makes it, and they count it.
Exactly
That would be like what happened in the Yankees-Phillies game last night.
Exactly right, man.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, John.
Did you guys see that? Mike Ford hit a pinch hit home run. Did you guys see that in StatCast? That it was 680 feet. How is that possible?
Right.
John, he lifted it deep to right, man. That's the ball carries out there in Yankee Stadium.
Nah, come on.
No, it wasn't. It was. Hey, Statcast is in summer camp too. You know what I mean?
It's a computer.
They certainly are.
It's a damn computer. Jeepers. Anyway, I'm all choked up now. By the way, Michael Bennett announced his retirement today.
Oh, yeah.
Won Super Bowl in Seattle. Stops in, obviously, here in Philly with the Patriots, the Cowboys, Tampa Bay.
One of the more interesting guys in the NFL, John, right?
Yeah, he is. I love Michael. I love talking to him. We never, ever talked about football. We always talked about our Netflix queues, which were basically the same. And living in Hawaii. He lives in Hawaii. And he always told me to move to, if you like it so much, move there. And I said, well, you make a little bit more money than me, Michael. Just a little bit. But very interesting guy, very productive guy. Obviously, didn't get along with a lot of coaches, didn't get along. If you look at the last really 3 years of his career, he went to 4 different teams, and he was always he's not a rotational guy. And you saw it here with the Eagles, and even more so with the Patriots. Did not like to be sat down for lesser players, and he just couldn't accept that. And that's why he kind of bounced around in the latter stages of his career. But he was always darn effective when he was out there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's one thing you got to say about this guy. Every time he was on the field and every time he was lined up, he did not take plays off. That guy was 100% on every single down. Even in a limited rotation, John, wherever he was, he played hard.
Yeah, and the best part, Michael wasn't the tidiest player in his locker. And when he came to Philadelphia, he had this giant suitcase, and he just plopped it in the middle of the locker room. Never emptied it the entire season. Just sat there the entire season.
Sort of like Robin when she comes back from vacation.
Is that right?
We put it on the bed, and then you're like, oh, I'll get it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then it sits there, and then you put it on the floor, and it's still there. And then eventually you have to empty out the suitcase.
Hey, it's like having an extra drawer.
Wow.
I'm still not convinced there wasn't a body in that bag, but I assume it would have started stinking at some point. But he never, ever emptied that suitcase until he left.
That's the kind of inside. This is inside. This is what you get on the Extending the Play podcast. This is how you extend the story of an athlete, where people just say, hey, Michael Bennett retired today. They didn't know about the suitcase. They didn't know about his untidiness and his affinity for being in Hawaii. By the way, if you were in Hawaii, would you put on as much sunscreen if you went surfing as Zuckerberg did? Did you see the video of him?
No.
I did. He looked like a mime. He had so much.
Mark Zuckerberg, the guy who runs Facebook.
I hate that guy.
Well, I mean, he's
kind
a
of
loser, but
yeah,
I would have to put on that much.
Yeah.
He's out there surfing in Hawaii, and literally he's white as a ghost.
Yeah.
And doesn't he realize they already hate white people out there? Why, most people hate him anyway. Now he's even whiter than white.
He looks like Brando on the island of Dr. Moreau. That's what he looks like out there.
You shouldn't leave the house if you think that's the required amount of sunscreen you have to put on.
Well, that's a good point. But, those of us who don't live in Hawaii, we got to get a base first. Got to get a base.
Exactly.
I'm actually with Zuckerberg, even though I think
no, he's not, Robin. That was excessive.
You put that much on, Miss Robin?
No, that's zinc, and it goes on white, and it's so that no sun can penetrate.
I mean, your nose in certain areas, but he's got his neck.
Why not
and
just
entire
wrap
face.
yourself in a bodysuit?
Yeah. Exactly. Why even go out in the sun?
Right.
Why just go do a surfboard simulator in your mansion?
Tony, you have seen
have
me.
A wave
he could have a wave pool
in his stinking mansions.
You've seen me when I've gotten
But
sunburned.
nobody gets that white. Nobody. Not even Robin, who's whiter than rice. And I hate to play the race card and the color card here. And by the way, that's white with a
small W.
Small W, not a capital.
Yeah.
Did you see the Associated Press?
You can't tan shame.
The Associated Press, once a respected wire service, along with UPI Audio back in the day, where we'd rip it off right off the teleprompter, a teletype machine, and read the news, announced yesterday that now when they write the word white, it will never be capitalized, but black always will be capitalized. That's where we are in this world of media right now.
Is that true?
Yes, I'm not making it up, John. I wish it was a Babylon Bee headline, but it's not. It was really the Associated Press.
That'll help things.
That makes a lot of sense.
I'm kind of a grammar Nazi. Can I use that word?
Absolutely, yes, you can.
Format?
Of course, it's easy to throw around these days.
Yeah, it's the AP style book is gone down some dark roads the last.
I burned that
few
book
years.
many years ago when women were burning their bras. I was burning the AP style book.
Yeah, it used to be great. Now they've made some really poor decisions over the past couple of years.
Oh, yeah, this is great. I'm seeing this now. Zuckerberg being compared to the Joker, Cesar Romero, on New York Post.
The
and
best
also,
Joker of all time.
And
Cesar
also
Romero.
the Queen Elizabeth circa 1588.
Wow, this is some
famous
real good
painting.
research right
Yeah.
here, Harry.
Sounds about right.
Wow.
Hey, as people that glow in the dark, we get it.
Listen, if you have that kind of money, you can afford to get skin cancer and then get healed by medical treatments all over the world. You can fly to all these different countries and do experimental drugs, and that's what happens when you're that rich and you're a geek. God bless America. God bless America, Harry. John McMullen.
Yeah,
God bless John
whenever,
McMullen.
Whenever I think about Zuckerberg, I think about the social network, and I think about Justin Timberlake playing him in that movie. Yeah, she seems
And
a
the
lot cooler in
Winklevoss
that movie
twins.
than it really
No,
is.
Timberlake
Yeah,
didn't play him. It was
No,
what's his
it
name?
was
It was
the
the dude
other-
who was in all the zombie movies.
No, it was
Yeah.
that other guy. It
Jesse
wasn't-
Eisenberg?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's it.
Eisenberg.
Jesse
Yeah, it
Eisenberg.
wasn't.
Jesse Eisenberg.
It wasn't Timberlake.
But Timberlake played the other guy who created Ryan's
MySpace?
He didn't play. He
there.
didn't play
he
Tom from
created,
MySpace.
No, he was in the movie. Timberlake was in the movie, and Jesse Eisenberg was Zuckerberg, and he kind of worshipped him. He created the music. What
No,
was
Sean
the
from
first-
Napster. Napster was the guy.
Napster, yeah, yeah.
Nobody saw that
Yeah.
movie. How the hell did you even see? Thank you, CPKSB.
I saw that movie.
There
Timberlake
we
played
go.
Sean from Napster, the guy who had
yeah.
the music
Exactly.
download site.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was never a
Yeah,
Napster
exactly.
guy. I was more the other one we were talking about the other day. What was the other?
LimeWire?
LimeWire. I was when
There we
I
go.
stole music on the internet, I always chose LimeWire.
What was the other one that used Tunnel Bear?
No, Napster,
Bear?
Hamster, Fire. There were all these like sites. Are they still
Yeah, it
out
was
there?
Napster first, and then it was LimeWire.
And then there was Hamster Wire, and then OnlyFans Wire, and The Wire, and then you go to Baltimore and you have Wear a Wire, and then you get your ass kicked when you walked outside. All those things happen.
Yeah, but the Sean guy from Napster, he was the cool guy, and Eisenberg, yeah, Zuckerberg was the loser.
Dork.
Dork.
You can say dork. Nerds. I'm not mocking nerds. They're all rich, and I'm sitting
They
here
are.
broke AF in my wine cellar basement. John McMullen, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. He's sweating and working hard for you, so you don't have to go outside to watch guys running around in shorts and sweating. John, we'll talk to you
None
later.
of us can yet. Mid-August, we'll be able to do that.
There you have it.
Wow.
John McMullen, he's in no bubble. Well, he's in Jersey. It's just as bad. We're coming right back. 2-1.